Hi, Pastor Tracy. There's two sides to every story. We all know that. And it's going to be hard for you to believe, but I need you to believe it. Well, I don't need you to believe it. God needs you to believe it. There are three pastors in Brevard County that have committed felonies against me, and they are lying to this day that this and this and this, and it's all in my videos. My autobiography has no lies. I mean, what kind of a foolish person writes an autobiography and lies in his autobiography? Pastor Mark Ragsdale, Church at Viera, shame on him. He was my best buddy in a lot of ways. We water skied hundreds of times in the river. He encouraged my wife to press criminal charges for domestic violence battery when there was no crimes. And it's look at the police report. There's no crimes. He then brought my wife and son to a battered women's shelter using his clout as head pastor of Church of Viera, and I'm protecting my flock. My wife was like Mary Tyler Moore. I mean, you can ask her. Jimmy never even as much as pinched me, not alone battered. I mean, a battered women's shelter is for people that are battered, not for people that want to get their husband back and has a haughty temper. So Mark Ragsdale, when he brought my wife and son to a battered women's shelter, he committed a felony. That's called tampering with. That's called falsifying data, and his ship is going to come in. I mean, I don't know when, but so anyways, then Pastor Titus Green, First Baptist Church of Merritt Island, after I called him asking him and his church to get involved with getting my wife and son out of the battered women's shelter before something bad happens. And by the way, something bad did happen, if you know what I mean. Those little boys in there did things to my little boy, and my brain fried. I suffered severe brain damage in 5.5 months. So here I have Pastor Mark Ragsdale doing the most evil thing in the world. And then my second church, First Baptist Church of Merritt Island, Pastor Titus Green doing horrible things by ignoring my plea. And then I made videos to rebuke Pastor Mark Ragsdale and made videos to rebuke Titus Green. Mark Ragsdale called the police saying that I'm harassing him and saying that my videos are causing his business to suffer because people are not going to his church now because of my videos telling people the truth. So I made videos. I have these metal magnetic balls, okay? They're this big around, called My Balls. And I tell people that God gave me this little invention. Imagine I'm holding them in my hand, and I'm holding them right there. There's really strong magnetic balls called My Balls. And I tell pastors, lick my balls, not telling pastors to lick my testicles, telling pastors, lick my balls or repent for being a dick. That's one of my phrases. Hey, pastors, lick my balls or repent for being a dick. Pastor Titus Green saw these videos. He filed an injunction. And in front of the Titusville courthouse, he committed a felony of perjury when he said, Jim Butler told me in a video to lick his testicles. Never once did I say anything sexual. I said, lick these metal balls. Now, because his mind twisted things and he heard testicles, doesn't mean I said testicles. I said, lick my balls. I mean, it's funny. The world thinks it's funny as shit. I mean, pastors don't think it's funny, but, hey, God called me to rebuke pastors using the same words that Jesus used to the pastors of his day. You're teaching men to be twice as much of sons of hell as you are. You're telling men they're going to go to heaven even though they're a porno addict. You're telling men they're going to go to heaven even though they have not committed their lives to Christ. They said a sinner's prayer. That's not in the Bible. I mean, if Jesus isn't Lord of all, he isn't Lord at all. I mean, Billy Graham said that he thinks 80% of all the men in church are tares. They're goats. They are deceived. They think they're going to heaven, but they're not going into heaven. And my book and my calling is addressing these 80%. So here's Pastor Titus committing a felony of perjury 3 times. 3 times he lied to the judge. One time he said, I told him to lick my testicles. Another time he said, I told him to do sexual things to me. Another time he said something about sexual. Nothing was sexual in my videos. It was telling Pastor to lick metal balls. I don't care that his brain heard lick my testicles. He committed a felony. And then Pastor Dickhead Kevin Radlin, he called the police on me because I was texting him, telling him to help with my family, and I rebuked him when he wouldn't do anything. My Christian mother, she's a Christian who's not really a Christian. She says she's a Christian, but she's not one. She's a Christian not, as is Pastor Robert in your church. I think he may be a pastor not. A pastor not is someone who says they're a pastor, who thinks they're a pastor, but they're not a pastor, not in God's eyes. I mean, and I'm sorry to say that about Robert, but if you heard what he did to me, I mean, it was so shameful. If I videoed it, friends of mine would go and do some bad things to him. Thank God I didn't video what he did, what he said to me. He was the rudest pastor not I've ever heard in my life. Not an astronaut, a pastor not. So here's 3 pastors that committed felonies. I spent a year in jail. A year of my life was gone because Pastor Kevin Radlin called the police and said that I'm threatening to harm or kill him. All I did was text him very strong words like, man, you should die. You know what? You're not a pastor, and these are strong rebuke words. But when you hear the whole story of how my mother, Christian not, my ex-wife, Christian not, stole over $110,000 from me and made me homeless, purposefully made me homeless. I was sleeping outside and a rattlesnake almost bit me one day. I woke up one morning, there was an alligator right next to me. I mean, here I am, life or death, and I'm texting Pastor Kevin, Kevin, I've known you for 30 years. When have I ever lied to you? When have I ever done anything wrong in these 30 years? Never. And you won't do a thing to get involved? You're now part of my hit shit list now, motherfucker. And by the way, when you tell a pastor words with the F word and motherfucker and that kind of stuff, they don't like it. And I don't blame you. You know, I mean, the world thinks it's funny that I have the audacity and boldness to do these things, but pastors don't like it. That's why God gave me the invention, hey, pastor, lick my balls or repent for being a dick. And I can't tell you, Tracy, I think you're a great man. You know, pastor of Coastal Community Church. I think you're a great man. From the little bit that I've known you, I think you're a great man. But your pastor, Robert Golden, Robert Golan, I think he's a terror. I really do. I think you need to look at him underneath a microscope and see if he's got any testimonies of leading souls to Christ on his own, away from the church. I mean, is he leading souls to Christ? Does he have testimonies all the time of God speaking to him? Does he hear Jesus talk to him? Or does he say, Jesus talks to me? No, there's proof. The proof of truth is in the testimony. So anyways, this is video 1, but this thing is so evil. There's so much evil. It's because of the power of God in my life. The devil does not like what God is doing. I invented a global game changer. And here I am writing a book that rebukes pastors, rightfully so, and a book about righteousness and holiness. I can't look below a woman's chin. Why? Because it's unholy. And for Pastor Robert to say I'm promoting myself and not Jesus Christ, what a heretic he is. So God bless Robert. I think he's a piece of shit. You know, I have my opinions about people, and you do too. And I'm sorry to hear that your whole church, the pastors and the elders, think I'm a wolf. Who the fuck are you to judge me? Who the fuck are you and your elders? What cocksucking motherfucking people you have in your church? If what Robert said is true in his email, shame on you. If I had a pair of balls in my hand right now, I would tell your people in your church who are spreading this gossip about me. By the way, here's the funny part. I get great rewards now. So for when people falsely accuse you and say all sorts of evil falsely for my sake, and I'm all about his sake, then great are your rewards in heaven. So because of Robert being such a dickhead and your elders being part of this gossip slander fiesta, I'm gonna get great rewards. So anyways, I end all my videos with this. I'm Jimmy fucking Powers and I'm here to stay.